Hi guys, you're here with me, Jen the Taxidermy Witch, and we are going to talk about some very female subjects in witchcraft. So if that's something that you think you want to listen to, then keep listening while we talk about some very feminine topics. We're talking about menstruation and how it's a part of our witchcraft, how it heightens our senses, how the energy of it, there's so much to say. So first I'm going to say what I would like to from all of my own research. This is just stuff I jotted down from the top of my head. And then I'm going to read from some books. And then I'm going to make a part 2. When Alex comes back home, I'm going to read off of a website, which is my very favorite website, but the only way for me to actually explain it to you is to read from some of the testimonials and such. So, 2 long videos coming up because there's so much to say, you guys. Okay. I would like to start by saying a couple of really interesting factoids, if you will. Basically, that website I was talking about, it's called the Fountain of Life, and there are men that tell tales of ingesting their partner's menstrual blood, and I know that's a crazy first topic to start with. It's not all about this, you guys, but this is an ancient thing that was used in healing. The ancient, lots of ancient traditions, and the Egyptians would use menstrual blood. They would drink it from the partner straight from the source, or they would use it as a salve on a wound, or if somebody was cut and it was a very bad infection, menstrual blood would heal it. Menstrual blood has stem cells in it, so it is like gold. And we'll go into more about the gold properties. But on this website, the Fountain of Life, which is in the part 2 video I'm going to be reading from, the whole website, it tells about men that were ingesting their partners, and they had a full head of gray hair that turned completely black, like when they were 19 years old, over the course of a year and a half. I'm not saying this will happen for everyone. These are just testimonials. Also, men talk about, the same situation, their wife, in most cases, their partner, and they were arthritic before, now their arthritis is gone and they can run miles. Things like this. Now, there was a research center in the 1960s in the United States of America that treated children and adults with leukemia and cancer. They treated them by ingesting both menstrual blood and breast milk. So they had wet nurses and women who were completely clean that provided their menstrual blood, and they did 4 years of research out on this ranch. And I think there were 6 doctors and a couple of nurses, but mostly patients in and out for 4 years. Now, there were no published writings on this place, but when they started publishing 4 years into the research and they saw how many people they were curing, and 90% of the people they were working with were being cured, it was 80 to 90%, were being cured of these cancers and or leukemia. Less than 12 months after they made their first publication in it was a big one. It may have been Time magazine, it may have been something else. Less than 12 months later, all 6 of those doctors that were treating those patients died, and the ranch burned down along with all of the research. Those kinds of things that happen make me so livid. Now, the world is overpopulated, so there's heavily overpopulated, so there's a lot of reasons why the government might want to keep people sick. And I'm not going to say any more about that and conspiracies and all of that, but that is a story that directly has to do with this, and you have to ask yourself why. Why would you shut down such beautiful research, you know? Okay, so yes, and it was 6 doctors. All 6 doctors died. Now, now this is a different thing we're talking about. In religions such as Catholicism, Muslim or Islam, and Masonry, if you want to call that a religion, I would. They do not let women into their rites and rituals. Now, maybe not everybody's going to agree to this, but I know why. The reason women aren't allowed in is because our menstrual cycle, and that's the whole thing, not just when we're bleeding. Our menstrual cycle is such a powerful thing. It's just most powerful right before and when we're bleeding, in my opinion. And we weren't allowed into rites and rituals because it would mess up the working that they were doing. It would mess up the rites because the energy was so powerful, it would muddle with what the men were asking for from the god or the gods, or, you know, from the rite or the ritual. And so that's very interesting. Before, a lot of this information, I'll have to say, I do get from Teal Swan's video. I'm not a fan of Teal Swan, except for maybe 3 or 4 videos. This is a big one. It's called Menstruation and Periods. And it taught me a lot, and I did the research, and she's right, and it's what really got me into even, like, right at the beginning of, mid-witchcraft journey into about my periods and stuff, and how I could add that. Okay, so, did you know that before electricity, and I did more research from what I learned from the video, but about 80% of women, and this was the amount of healthy women that were in the world. We're talking about, like, you know, before electricity, so mainly what I'm going to be referring to right in here is probably like the 17 and 1800s. About 80% of women, that was the healthy amount, we all flowed at the same time, okay? When we didn't have television and we only used candlelight after sundown, we were in sync with Cadian rhythm, or in my opinion, that's the rhythm of the goddess, is Cadian rhythm. And that, I believe it's spelled C-A-D-I-A-N. So, 80% of women ovulated when the moon was full and looked like an egg, and bled when the moon was its darkest. Now, women are just on every kind of crazy cycle because we have birth control, which don't even get me started, I'll go into, and I do not judge anybody who's on any medicine. I just have so much information on why it could be affecting your witchcraft, okay? I do not judge anybody. I used to be on birth control when I was a kid, you know? And I feel like it's a huge reason of why I have so many fertility issues as an adult. And I'm a heavy believer in that. And that's what my intuition tells me, and that's what my research just on, I've noted everything down since I was 14 years old in journals, how I was feeling, what I was eating. Your diet can directly affect your period and your menstrual cycles. Okay, so back to the thought. Now, 80% of women, that was the healthy amount of women, they all were on the same menstrual cycle. Now, now, why isn't it like that now? Okay, because of technology and electricity and electronic devices and things like that, but also because of, you know, things that are making us sick and infertile and things like that. So this is a time before main allopathic medicines. What is an allopathic medicine? Like pills, okay? This is a time before GMOs and pesticides, before chemtrails and fluoride in our water supply. This is a time before all of that. So it's easy to believe when you think of that 80% of women were flowing on the same cycle, okay? After the sun went down, it was candlelight in a book for them. Now, I have to tell you something rad. I've used that to restart my periods. And it was difficult, believe me. No electronic device after the sun goes down, especially in the winter time. Whew, when the sun goes down at 5 p.m., I got so much reading done, but it took me 3 months. And I got it done. I got my cycles set up to where I ovulated right on the full moon, and I bled right on the new moon, like, in sync. So you can get there, and if you want information, more information on that, I can help you get there. Let me see what time we're at. Okay, we're not doing too bad. Okay, so that is if you are healthy and in tune with nature, you will ovulate when the moon is full and looks like an egg, and you will bleed when the moon is at its darkest and on the new moon, okay? So know that, have it in your meditations, and start asking your guides to get you there, okay? You can wear moonstone to keep it close to you. You can slide a piece in your bra, a flat piece like I have here. This is really great. See how flat it is? And you can just slide that into your bra and absorb that energy. Another really great stone I have for, kind of helping with period pain is this. And I think it's called hematite. But the lady at the shop told me it was great for that. And then I have this rose quartz wand, which is by Yoni Grace. And if you know who Yoni Grace is, basically this is a wand to help restart your period, because rose quartz is a really good one for menstruation, and this is an internal wand, and that's all I'm going to say, okay? So you can really help reset hormones and periods using an internal rose quartz wand. And so let's now talk about if I wanted to keep my period blood for some of these things that we're going to talk about. How do I do it? Well, you get a Luna cup. They come in these cloth bags, and it's basically just this silicone cup, and it's very squishy. See, that's how you get it in. You fold it into a 4, and then you insert it, and then it opens up inside of you, and it's very soft. And then there's this little part down here that you can grab onto to pull it out, and it has this little ladder for your hand to pull on. And then you just wash it out, and then put it in here, and you keep it in your purse. And it, if things are on it, it's silicone, so it always goes back to the same shape, okay? You can get them online, 2 of them for like $12 or something, so cheap. This is a size small, and I recommend that size because I can't imagine needing a bigger one, but maybe if you're a bigger person, I'm not sure. Yeah, so that's a Luna cup, and okay, we've talked about everything on here. And now this is the part where I talk about birth control. And don't take any offense to any of this, please. Please, please, please. Just know that I'm saying it so that hopefully that you get some new information or remember some old information that you didn't know before. But this is crucial stuff, guys, especially if you practice witchcraft. And even if you don't, this is just great information for anyone to have. I can't even say how insane taking birth control is. What it does to your body, like how it affects your fertility. I know because I mentioned in the beginning of the video how taking it as a kid And now I had such a hard time getting pregnant as an adult. And my doctor, said, yeah, I said, is it because of that? And he said, it sure could be. We still don't know side effects of, and that's the thing, is we don't even get the side effects until like 20 years later of a drug. So, is vaping better than smoking? Who knows? It only came out 10 or 12 years ago. We won't even see what kind of cancers it forms. You know what I mean? So, alright, so basically, when you take birth control pills, what it does is it tricks your body into thinking it's pregnant. Okay? That's why you don't have periods. Or when you have a period, it's not an actual period, right? But either way, you take the birth control, which is a hormone, and then you pee the hormones into the toilet. The drinking water. It is the drinking water, okay? Then everybody drinks that. Old people, young people, and men, okay? So, young girls, young boys, and men are all going to ingest this recycled hormone, and their bodies are going to start thinking that they're pregnant. I'm not kidding you. Okay. So, it also destroys the natural cycles of your own body, and if you suppress them entirely, you are completely out of tune with your energy and your body, and, what did I write there? Oh, and the universe, and your future fertility is in serious jeopardy, like I said. Also, good to note, if you take birth control and you just take it and don't bleed, because you can just keep taking it and not take that sugar pill week that lets you bleed so that you don't have periods. Okay. When you bleed, it's your body cleaning out all the toxic stuff out of you and pushing it out, okay? Now, if you're healthy, like I talked about ingesting before, if you're healthy, there are ways that you can ingest this. Never, ever, ever without a doctor's assistance, period, okay? But, where is my head going? So basically, if you don't let that blood out, those toxins are storing up in your womb, where you want to have a baby someday, probably, right? You're taking the birth control because you're too young to have a baby or something like that, not ready. Okay, but, just remember that those toxins are sitting in there in your womb and they're not getting released. They're probably being absorbed back into the body. Some women, and I went for over a year without bleeding once on birth control pills when I was like 18. And my doctor kept saying, you need to do a breakthrough bleed, once every, a couple times a year, and I'd be like, oh yeah, I'll do it next month, oh yeah, I'll do it next month, and then before I knew it, it was, not thinking about any of the repercussions as a kid, and, yeah, so, I try to tell people now so that they can kind of understand, alright. Also, the more you bleed, the more unhealthy you are, and the less you bleed, the healthier you are. When I went on a raw foods diet for 6 months, almost 7, I think it was closer to 7 months, my periods before I went on the diet, when I was eating gluten and dairy and meat and everything, whatever, they were like 5 to 6 days long. That's long. That's a long time, and they're like heavy bleeding. When I went to raw foods diet, my first period was 2.5 days. And this was only 3 weeks into the diet. So I went from 5 or 6 days to 2.5 days. My second period was 2 days. And by 3 months in, my periods were down to a little over a day. Not even a day and a half. Because I'd write down the exact hour it happened, hour to hour. Journal it all. Journal your journal your periods if you're into witchcraft. I think it's really important because once you realize how amazing the ingredient is and your power is during that time, if you lose it, which I have at times as an adult, gotten off track with my cycle, and you start to plan on that. Like, I need to do a spell during this time. I had spells that were backed up for 3 months because I went off a diet and everything changed and hormones changed and all this stuff really affects your periods. And so if you have endometriosis like I do, or any kind of massive what do they call them, fibrosis cysts, ovarian cysts or anything like that, I have great helpful information for you. So let me know if you need help on that. Yeah, so menstrual blood is sacred, and it has the capacity to heal. Ancient cultures, like I said, ingested and made salves for their wounds. It revives things in the state of decline. And modern science is currently advancing with it and breast milk, because of its stem cells, and it's so healthy, and they're realizing how amazing it is. And that's modern science, not modern medicine. It is a sacred fluid. On a microscopic level, the vibrational, what it looks like, is mind-blowing from what I hear. I've not seen it, but from my research says that. Also, putting something so sacred, like we're talking about, in the toilet and flushing it down into the sewage system is mind-blowing, and it's super sad. What you can do with it is catch it in your Luna cup and you pour it into the earth. Take it to your special meditation spot and pour it into the earth. The benefits you'll see that come with that are if you've ever seen the show True Blood, when Jason and Amy, they take the V and they're out in nature and they can hear things, they can see things that were always there but they just never saw before. Okay. Slowly you'll start to, for lack of a better phrase, get high on nature. Things you never saw before and never appreciated are now the things you're so drawn to. If you do this, comment below and tell me if you feel like it. But it's become this vibration that's so much different from anything I can really say or explain. And it brings me to tears to think about, to be quite honest. So, yes. And the energetic properties are renewal, rebirth, creation, and life. Okay? It's solid gold. Breast milk and menstrual blood are solid gold. They do not belong in the toilet. They belong either to be safely ingested, or to be added to the earth, or to be used in magical workings. And you shouldn't lie in bed during your period and feel sad for yourself. This fact that society has painted your periods to look like a thing of shame, or a thing of dirtiness, or a thing of grossness or yuckiness pisses me off, because it is a suppression of your power. That is what that's meant to do. Garments that were stained with period blood were meant to be sacred, and people would wear them with pride. For instance, if you sat on someone's sweater and you were bleeding and you got some blood on their sweater, they would wear that sweater with pride and tell everyone that a goddess bled on their sweater during their moon. Not kidding you. If you're a woman, start treating your periods different. Wake up every morning that you're on your moon or on your period and just say, I'm so blessed. I'm going to harness this energy and put it into a spell or a working or a charm or my meditations or my visions for the future, okay? harness that energy and harness that wisdom. Do journaling during this time. I highly suggest you scry during this time. Another way that you can scry, and this is a good one, you guys. I'm always excited to talk about a new way that we think of that we could possibly scry. And you can make a yoni painting. And what you do is you collect your period blood, like with your Luna cup. And then you just put it in a little glass jar, okay? Believe me, you don't have to bless it. You don't have to do nothing. It is the most sacred fluid, I believe, in the world. Alright? So, you have that. However, you do want to have a paintbrush that is just for this. You want to have, and that's you've blessed and cleansed it. You want to have a canvas you've blessed and cleansed. Cleanse your space, all that. And then you get your blood in your jar and you get ready to make your yoni painting. And you invite your womb to take over your hand and paint with the blood. And then you look at it at the end, like you're asking something else to take over your hand, your womb. And so I think that's a really cool way of scrying. You can do that. Okay, so I have to scratch off as we go, and we're going to have to make 3 videos. Oh well, there's a lot to say, and there'll be even more than the 3 videos, but I'm just going to do the 3. And a Q&A, if you guys have questions, I could just do a response video. So I encourage questions, you guys. You can preserve your moon oil by catching it in this and then adding it to some vitamin D oil, and you can use it for spells. If you need to regulate your periods and reset your hormones, you do the thing what I said about the circadian rhythm. Only candlelight after sundown, no electronics either. And also, if all of this stuff sounds like, no, I don't think so. Remember, one day you'll be in menopause and you won't have a period. So, at least look into all the power you could have by this now, just so that you know, because you learn more about it in menopause, that you can know, okay, at least I know. And I still don't want to do it, or whatever. You can add it to your third eye, straight from source. And ancient... Oh, I wrote in Sharpie. Oh, right, you can have access directly to your ancestry, because in your moon blood, in your period blood, every single part of your ancestry from the beginning of time is in there. Every single bit. I have to stop the video and start another one where we go through the rest of my thoughts and then read. And then we'll be doing a 3rd video from the website readings. The deer jaw. The deer jaw. Wants to be seen, apparently. So come back with me, Jen the Taxidermy Witch, while we go over the rest of information I have about you as a goddess, harnessing every little bit and not being sad in bed and not and embracing all of your power while it's here, because we go through phases in our life, and there's a time before our period, there's a time during, there's a time after. So let's think about all of that. Come back with me and we'll do another part to this 3-part, all about periods, menstrual blood, and witchcraft, and how they all apply. Bless you all.